Have you ever started a project halfway through and thought, oh no, did we even think this one through? Yeah, that moment, that's a risk management problem. Most project issues, they don't come from bad planning or lazy teams. They come from not spotting the risks early on in your project. And that is exactly what we're talking about today. Project Risk Identification 101. I want to make sure that we don't pull a Titanic here and ensure that you actually see the icebergs that are out there before they ever wreck your ship. So for those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Russ Parker, Marine Corps veteran, project risk guy. And if you're just getting started in project management, let me tell you, this topic right here, it's a difference between leading a smooth project or one that constantly is putting out fires, something none of us want to deal with. All right, so let's talk about risk identification in plain English with real tips that you can use starting today. Okay, picture this. You're sailing, waters are calm, everyone's smiling. It feels good, right? But just below the surface, there's an iceberg waiting to rip a hole in your project. That's what unmanaged risks look like. Lucky for you, though, you follow me in this channel. And if you don't, make sure you head down below and give me a follow. And like this video because it's what your projects want you to do. Look, you can't dodge what you can't see. And if you don't identify risks early, you can't plan around it. It's like driving at night without headlights. And PMI's data backs this up because projects that actually do risk identification well, they're 24% more likely to succeed. That's not just a small win. That's career defining and can mean that 24% of your time at work equals less stress and more productivity. Now here's the official line from PMBOK Guide on risks, with my own little twist around it. A risk is anything uncertain that can mess with your project goals, good or bad. That last part, bad, that part trips a lot of people up because risks aren't just scary problems. They're actually good sometimes. This is what we call opportunities, and it's something like is better than what we expected. That can still be a risk because it's still considered uncertainty, but it's a good one, but a risk all the same. So don't let this concept trip you up, especially if you're taking your PMP exam. I want you to stop thinking that risks only equal bad stuff. Instead, risks are anything that's uncertain. And you have two main buckets for these. One, you have the threats. These are the delays, the budget bombs, the angry clients that sit out there. And then we have opportunities. This is the faster delivery, better tech, or unexpected wins that we can find in our projects. Your goal is to spot both of these and then plan for both throughout your project as well. Now, I don't want you to think that you have to know everything about the good and bad risks that are sitting in your project. Now, here's the secret. That shouldn't be on you as the project manager alone. Risk identification is a team sport. You want everyone involved. Team leads, stakeholders, clients, vendors, anyone that can deal with risks, they need to be involved. Why? Because everyone sees things differently. They see different problems and different things coming in the project. And the more eyes we have over the horizon, the better. So get everyone involved and then use them to help you find the risks throughout your project. And we do this by getting everyone together to do some well thought out exercises for our risk identification. Never just sit in a room guessing. Use those dedicated tools like brainstorming, the Delphi technique, SWOT analysis, PESTLE lists, one-on-one interviews. There's a reason why PMI lists these in their resources. They've worked for other projects and they're going to work for you too. And here's a critical piece that you need to have in this whole process. Once you identify your risks, you need to write them down. You need to put them in a risk register. That's your home base. This is where you include things like, what is the risk? What type of risk is it? Who owns it? How likely is it to happen? And what it could impact for your project. And don't be like too many PMs out there I know. They do this process, they log the risk in a risk register, but then they only do it once throughout the project. They just do identification, make a risk register, continue on with the project, and never look at it again. Or if they do look at it again, it's only because they have a new risk that popped up and they have to at least log it in the register because that's what their PMO says to do. Risk identification cannot be a check in the box for your project. It needs to be an ongoing process. You need to recheck at milestones, changes in your scope, team changes, stakeholder shifts, anything that involves your project, that it makes it evolve or crossing different thresholds. You need to make sure that you're coming back and looking at your risk register to see, is there anything new? Or is there anything that's on there you can take off because you've made it past the point where that risk is even impactful to your project? Keeping the momentum means doing regular checks and keeping that risk register up to date and full of dedicated information that can actually help your project. Now, if you really want to master this process and lead your first risk workshop like a pro, I've got a course just for you. It's called How to Run a Risk Workshop. And you'll learn how to plan a risk workshop, run the workshop, and the post actions that you need to take after your workshops end. Plus, I'll give you all the templates you need, checklists and guides. Just check the link below in the description where it'll say How to Run a Risk Workshop course. Great project managers, they don't avoid risk management. They learn how to spot it early and then plan around them through risk workshops. And that starts here with Project Risk Identification 101. Now, if you want to know more about building your risk register, make sure you go check out this video here where I get a little more details about that. Don't forget to check out the link below about my course on how to run a risk workshop, or head over to 44PM Training Academy and check out the courses you can see there. All right, I'll see you next week. 44 Risk PM out.